So we've gotten to the point where we need to go ahead and save some useful information within our application. So this information needs to be saved in a way that we can easily access it from anywhere within our app. So let's take, for instance, we retrieve our current location, the address, the formatted address, the place name, the place ID. So we might actually want to save this information in such a way that if we go to a new page, we can be able to retrieve information about our current location, right? So for us to be able to achieve this in a very neat way, we're going to have to rely on a package that can provide this very useful service of saving our states, so we usually call it. So for us to achieve this functionality, we are going to rely on the provider package. So the provider package is a state management tool that enables us to neatly save our data across our application. So without wasting any time, we're going to go ahead and take a look at how to install the provider package and how to properly set it up within our application. So before we go ahead and install it, it's also worth mentioning that there are different other ways that we can use to manage our state. Within our application, we can use the block pattern, we can even use the normal state, but the provided package is actually the recommended state management tool directly from the Flutter team, and it actually looks very clean to me. I like using it. So in case you're familiar with block pattern, you can go ahead and use that. But for the purpose of this application, we are going to be making use of the provider package, and I think it works really well. Now, the first thing we need to do will be to go to our packages website. That is where we usually download our packages. So I'm going to go ahead and search for provider. Alright, so this is the provider package. So I'm going to go ahead and click in, and I'm going to go ahead and install it. So I'm going to return to Android Studio. So I'm going to open up popspec.yaml. I'm going to paste the dependency. Okay, so let's go ahead and install it. Okay, so our provider has been successfully installed. Now the next thing we need to do is to go ahead and set up our provider package in a very good way that makes it easily accessible and usable as well. So what I'm going to do will be to go ahead and create a new folder. So this folder, I'm going to call it data providers. So inside of this folder, I'm going to be saving all the DAT files that is relating with our provider package or anything that has to do with data handling. So the first thing I'm going to do will be to go ahead and create a new DAT file. So this DAT file, I'm going to call it app data. Alright, so inside of this file, I'm going to go ahead and set up my provider package. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a class, and I'm going to call the class app data. Now because we want to make use of provider package inside of this class is going to extend change notifier. Alright, so the change notifier is actually what the provider package relies on to be able to properly manage our state. So inside of this class, we can go ahead and create instances, objects, variables that we want to be able to access from anywhere within our application. So let's say, for instance, I want to save a string ID. I can go ahead and create it here, and from anywhere within our application, I will be able to access it, I will be able to update it, and I think we are going to be seeing more of that as we proceed. Now the next thing we need to do is to go ahead and ensure that this class is accessible from everywhere within our application. So what to do here is to go to the highest place in our widget tree to initialize our app data class with the change notifier, right? So I'm going to go to the main.dart. So this is where we are actually going to initialize our provider. So why it's very important that we do this here is because we want the data to be accessible from anywhere within our application, and this is just the highest place in the widget tree. So let's say we decided to initialize or set up the provider inside of the registration page. It means that the data saved in the app data class might not be accessible in the login page. So that's why it's important that we set it up here. So what are we going to do? So I'm going to go ahead and wrap our material app inside of a new widget. So the new widget is going to be a change notifier provider. Now the next thing we need to do is to go ahead and say create, and we're going to pass it the context, and the class that we want to initialize is going to be the app data class. Alright, so what we've successfully done is to provide the data inside of this class to every other place within our application. Alright, so this is basically all that we need to do to set up our provider package. The next thing we need to do is to go ahead and start saving objects, variables, and anything that would like to be available across our application inside of this place. And that's exactly what we are going to be doing in our next class. So as soon as you're ready, head over to the next lesson so we can get started.